This is the story of how one device killed 10 industries. But it started with a surrender. 1997. Steve Jobs returns to Apple after being gone for 12 years. The company is dying, 90 days of cash left. 4% of the computer market. Microsoft has won. 92% of computers run Windows. Jobs walks on stage at Macworld Boston, does something no company leader would do. He puts Bill Gates, the enemy, on a giant screen via satellite. The crowd boos immediately. Gates announces Microsoft is investing in Apple. Jobs waits for the boos to settle, then says, "We have to let go of this notion that for Apple to win, Microsoft has to lose." People walk out. The press calls it surrender. And they were right. Jobs was admitting defeat in a war Apple had fought for 12 years. But here's what nobody understood. Walking away from that war freed Apple to fight wars no one else could see yet. 10 years later, the consequences became clear. Digital cameras, down 93%. GPS devices, down 89%. Camcorders, down 96%. Kodak, bankrupt. BlackBerry, dead. Palm, dead. The weapon? The iPhone. This is what happened. For 12 years after Jobs left in 1985, Apple tried everything. More products, cheaper clones, licensing the operating system to other manufacturers. Every move made sense on paper. Every move made the company weaker. 3 different CEOs tried 3 different strategies to beat Microsoft. All of them failed. By the time Jobs came back, Apple had lost nearly $2 billion. The war was over. So when Jobs returned, he made a choice most CEOs can't make. He walked away. He killed the clone program. No more licensing Mac OS to other companies. He killed 36 of the 40 products, kept 4. Someone asked what happens to all those products. Jobs said, "We don't need them." Most companies can't do this. When you're voted on by committee, every product has someone protecting it, someone whose job depends on it. But Jobs had been fired once already. He didn't care about being liked. He killed 36 products to focus on 4. Then he did something even more radical. He stopped trying to beat Microsoft in computers entirely. October 2001. Jobs stands on stage holding a small white device. 1,000 songs in your pocket. The iPod. It costs $400, only works with Macs. Tech journalists ask, why is Apple making a music player? They're a computer company. But Jobs isn't making a music player. He's going where Microsoft isn't. Microsoft dominates computers. Jobs stopped fighting them there. But Microsoft doesn't dominate digital music. So that's where Apple goes. The iPod isn't just hardware, it's hardware plus iTunes software, which Apple had already built. Everything designed together, everything working seamlessly. 2 years later, Apple added the iTunes Store. Now you could buy songs directly, no piracy, no CDs, just click and download. Hardware, software, store, all integrated. By 2004, iPod has 70% of the market, but Jobs knows it won't last. Someone will eventually combine a music player with a phone. If Apple doesn't do it, someone else will. And here's where most companies fail. 2006. The iPod is printing money for Apple. It's their most profitable product. Making a phone that plays music means killing the iPod. Most companies can't do this. They protect the cash cow. Inside Apple, the iPod wasn't just a product. It was the company's identity. But Jobs had learned something watching 3 CEOs fail before him. He says, and people who were there remember this, if we don't cannibalize ourselves, someone else will. So Apple builds a phone that kills their most successful product. January 2007. Jobs introduces the iPhone. At the time, the smartphone market has clear winners. BlackBerry dominates business users. Physical keyboard, push email, 20% market share. Every CEO has one. Obama won't give his up. Windows Mobile has 12%. Stylus-based, clunky, but works. Palm is fading, but still alive. The iPhone looks like a mistake. No physical keyboard, no stylus. $599. Steve Ballmer, Microsoft's CEO, laughs when asked about it. $500? That's the most expensive phone in the world. It doesn't appeal to business customers because it doesn't have a keyboard. BlackBerry's executives watch the announcement. One says, "We'll be fine." It's going to be a real challenge for them. They weren't wrong about the phone. They were wrong about what the phone was about to become. July 2008, the App Store. For years, Apple controlled everything. The hardware, the software, the experience. Now Jobs was letting anyone build apps for the iPhone. Opening the platform. It was risky. Apps could be bad, could crash, could make the iPhone look unreliable. But Jobs had learned something. Sometimes you win by letting go of control. Third-party developers build thousands of apps. Google Maps adds turn-by-turn navigation. Now your phone is a GPS. Instagram launches in 2010. Now your phone is a camera. Angry Birds. Now it's a gaming device. Every app quietly erased a reason to buy a separate device. BlackBerry tries to respond. They launch the storm. Touchscreen with a clicking mechanism. Feels wrong, returns are massive. Then the tour, back to keyboard, looks outdated. Then the torch. Touchscreen and keyboard. Confused identity. Nothing works. 3 years after the iPhone launched, BlackBerry's market share drops from 20% to under 5%. 6 years later, it's dead. Microsoft launches Windows Phone in 2010. Spends billions. Partners with Nokia. By 2017, they shut it down. Total losses. Over $7 billion. Palm launches the Palm Pre. Great reviews, but too late. Dead by 2011. They all built their strategy around one thing. Email with a keyboard. Stylus navigation. One feature. When the iPhone made that feature irrelevant, they had nothing. Something else was happening. Something nobody predicted. The iPhone wasn't just killing smartphone competitors. Walk through an electronics store in 2007. There's a whole section for digital cameras. Canon, Nikon, Kodak. Point-and-shoot cameras everywhere, every price point. Another aisle for camcorders. Flip video, the simple handheld camcorder, flying off shelves. GPS devices. Garmin, TomTom. Every car needs one. MP3 players. iPods, but also Microsoft Zune, Creative Zen. Portable gaming, Nintendo DS, Sony PSP. All of it, thriving. Now walk through that same store in 2015, 8 years later. The camera section, one shelf, mostly professional DSLRs. Camcorders, gone. GPS devices, one end cap, for truckers and boats. MP3 players, gone. What happened? The iPhone happened. Not because it was better at taking photos than a Canon. Not because it was better at navigation than a Garmin. Not because it had better sound than an iPod. It wasn't better at any single thing. But it was good enough at all of them. And it was always in your pocket. The iPhone 4 launched in 2010. 5-megapixel camera, not amazing, but good enough. That same year, Instagram launched. Suddenly taking photos wasn't about image quality. It was about sharing. Instantly. The camera was always with you, already connected to the internet. Canon and Nikon didn't stand a chance. By 2014, the iPhone 6 camera was better than most point-and-shoot cameras. Not just more convenient. Actually better. Kodak, the company that invented the digital camera in 1975, filed bankruptcy in 2012. Digital camera sales down 93%. Then GPS devices fell. Google Maps came to iPhone, free, always updated. Garmin stock dropped 65%. They pivoted to fitness watches just to survive. GPS device sales down 89%. Then MP3 players. Apple discontinued the iPod in 2022, the device that saved the company, killed by the iPhone. If Apple hadn't done it, someone else would have. Then camcorders, alarm clocks, calculators, voice recorders, PDAs, one by one. Not because the iPhone was better at any of these things, because once you had an iPhone, you didn't need anything else. But here's what's strange. Remember that war Jobs walked away from in 1997? Computers against Microsoft? Something unexpected started happening. Around 2010, Apple Store employees noticed a pattern. People would come in to buy an iPhone. While waiting, they'd look at MacBooks. They'd say, "If Apple made my phone this good, maybe I should try their computers." Apple didn't use Macs to sell iPhones. They used iPhones to rehabilitate Macs. Mac market share in the US today, around 30%. In 2000, it was 4%. Walk into a coffee shop in any major city. Count the laptops. 60% have a glowing Apple on the back. In the 1990s, PC meant professional. Mac meant niche. Today, Mac means premium. PC means budget or gaming. Apple didn't plan this. They walked away from computers in 1997, won phones in 2007, and the phone success brought people back to computers in 2010. Today, both companies are worth over $3 trillion. Microsoft, $3.1 trillion. Apple, $3.4 trillion. Microsoft still dominates computers, 72% global market share. But there are 6.8 billion smartphones in the world, 1.5 billion PCs. iPhone has 27% of the global smartphone market, 60% in the US. Windows Phone, 0. The war Microsoft won, computers became less important. The war Apple won, smartphones became everything. Those 10 industries didn't lose because Apple was better at their job. They lost because they were designed around being one more thing you have to carry. Apple didn't win the war everyone watched. It walked away from that one. And by the time anyone noticed, they had already won an entirely different war. If you found this story interesting, like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next strategy file.